I thought I would share something. I was just doing a retreat on the new moon. So we did last night and this morning on intention setting. And so all of you, or most of you know that have been meditating with me for a while, I always ask this question, what it is that's most important to us. It's the most important question in the world. If we don't know the answer to it, we're not likely to move closer to it. In fact, just the opposite, we're more likely to get distracted by the world, distracted because other people are just pulling us in different directions. And if we're not clear on the direction, then it's just so easy to get lost. And so I ask this question of us almost every meditation. And it's to keep the intention close in your mind. And the second question also about what things you can be doing, and not to worry about if you're not ready to give up something or you're not ready to start doing more of something, but just identifying it. Because we're planting seeds every time we do this. And I think sometimes when we get around intention setting, we get so rigid and grasp at them and, I've got to do this differently. And we try and use willpower, which is a very fleeting, if we just look at it from a biological perspective, the willpower in our prefrontal cortex, it's so fleeting. It's so fragile. It's a terrible way to make change. It'll last until about 6 o'clock, and then you'll be in the kitchen grabbing the donuts or something. By asking this question, by continuously asking the question, by continuously looking at our lives, being honest with ourselves, right? We're not having to tell anyone the answers, but being honest with ourselves about the way that we're spending our time and what things are taking us further away from what we most want and what things are bringing us closer. And with that awareness, you will find just one day you're reaching for your phone and you think, no, I'm not going to reach for my phone. I can feel that little need, that little itch for something outside of me, and it's coming now through wisdom. You're putting it down for the right reasons, not gritting your teeth, not white-knuckling it, like, no, there's something I want that's more important than this. Or if you're getting overwhelmed, you're socializing a little bit too much, there's too much on your plate, and that recognition, like, I'm not feeling good, I feel like I'm moving further away, and I need to slow down a little bit. I need to say no to a few things, because by saying no to these things, I'm saying yes to what it is that's most important. And so by asking this question continuously and not getting attached to the actual actions of it, your actions naturally will start to align with your intention. They will naturally start aligning. And then you're pointed in the right direction. And so it's really important that we understand what our highest intention is. Because sometimes in our intention setting as well, we tend to get the order wrong. So when I ask the question, what is it that's most important? And I'm always pointing you inwards, an internal intention. Peace, connection, love, equanimity, contentment, belonging, like something, an internal. And even when I say love, not like what we would consider romantic love or love dependent upon another person. Love, that universal feeling that we are all connected. All of these things really pointing to the same thing. And yet, of course, all of these words inadequate, but pointers for us. And so I'm always saying, like, that's the most important, but that doesn't mean that we can't have secondary, tertiary, other goals, other intentions that we want to experience in the external world. That's okay, right? But the problem is that we tend to put the external intentions higher than our internal intentions. So we tend to, it might be that you want to write a book, or you want to get healthy, or you want to travel, you want to start a new business, you want to learn a new language, a new sport, a new activity. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But if we were to ask you, why do you want to travel, to write a book, to become healthy, why do you want these things? The answer would be because you think it's going to give you some sense of fulfillment, some sense of peace, of contentment, of feeling whole. And of course, none of these things can give you that. They're just fleeting experiences that we have. And if we think, though, that they can bring us peace and contentment and love and a sense of belonging and being wholeness, the problem is that we will get very disappointed. Because when it doesn't deliver, then we just jump right back on the treadmill looking for the next thing. So when we get the order right, when we put peace, contentment, love, equanimity, connection, when we put that as our primary intention, that's our number one intention, and we take care of that first, all of the other intentions then become more by putting them in that order and taking the pressure off of them to deliver something to us, they become the experiences that they are meant to be. If you want to write a book, great, write a book for the experience of writing a book. If you want to travel, fantastic. Travel for the experience of travel, not because you think there's a little you that's going to be found in Thailand that is going to be happier than the you that is here now, that is going to somehow be fulfilled over there. If you want to be healthy, great. Be healthy, make better food choices, work out for the experience of being healthy, because these are all of the external, everything external, they're experiences. They're experiences to be had as long as we know what is most important, the peace. Because if we're not taking care of what's most important, then we won't even enjoy fully these things. We know this, right? We know this. We go and do these things having our intentions in the wrong order, getting frustrated, being disappointed, being irritated. But when you take care of the peace, and you take the pressure off of all of these external experiences, then they just become adventures. Yeah, it's an experience to be had. All of our experiences is all part of the adventure. The adventure of Leslie, of C's, of Rosa, of Mari, of Nancy, of Kathy, of Jim. It's all part of the adventure. And when we have our priorities in order, when we know that our primary intention is peace, and all of our secondary intentions are on the external, the experience, the adventure, all of our intentions become impersonal, non-egoic. And when our intentions, our desires, we could even say, when they are impersonal, we are aligned with the universe. Because the universe, we are a part of the universe. We tend to think of ourselves as not part of it. But we are. Every single one of us is a part of the universe, experiencing itself, having the adventure. And when we understand that the peace taking us out of the thought created me, the egoic, my personal desires, we come into the flow and the peace and the harmony in alignment with the universe that we are. We enjoy the adventure. We see when the paths are we're going down one path, yay! Okay, maybe another path opens up over here, because again, when they become non-egoic, when they become impersonal intentions, our eyes are open. Our whole field of vision is so much wider. We're using our senses. We're seeing what's going on. We're not trying to drive something down, make something happen, put a square in a round hole. We're paying attention. And we're enjoying the ride. And that doesn't mean that, of course, that we don't experience at some point, at times, that we don't experience unpleasant things, because, of course, we can't experience the world without contrast. Up, down, hot, cold, pleasant, unpleasant, comfortable, uncomfortable, praise, criticism, gain, loss. We can't experience the world without contrast. But when we're not grasping at some future thing over here, externally based, my happiness over there, when we're not grasping at that, when we experience the unpleasant conditions and we know what's most important, my peace, we don't push back on it, because we haven't put all this pressure that my peace, my happiness was over there. It was never over there. It was always right here. And these are part of the conditions for how I experience the world. We couldn't experience it any other way, and nor would we want to. But we have such a hard time trusting this, trusting the process. We so want to get to, just tell me how it's going to end, though. I can enjoy the ride if you'll tell me that this will all work out. I could go and enjoy the movie if I could see the last 10 minutes first. If I could read the last few pages of the book, then I could enjoy the whole book. I mean, that's not how we enjoy books. It's not how we enjoy movies. We want to see the adventure. We want to see things happening. We want to have a certain amount of challenges. It's how we grow. It's the unpleasant experience that make the pleasant experiences so pleasant. If we only ever experienced pleasant, after a while it would just mean nothing. It would be so boring. We wouldn't enjoy it. But it's the trusting the process that we have such a hard time with. We're so grasping at wanting to know how it's going to turn out. And even in the grasping at that, when we remember what's most important is the peace. Oh, peace. Oh, I'm grasping again. Oh, yeah. Come back. Breathe. Okay. Take care of this moment. If you take care of this moment, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, the months, the years, they will all take care of themselves. And it all starts with that intention. Nurturing the right intention. The internal intention. And all the other intentions, the external intentions, they all flow from that primary intention. That's what's most important. Nurturing our seed, the right seed of intention, nurturing in the right order. Trusting the process. Letting go. And just take care of this moment. The rest will take care of itself. Everyone says, most people say, oh, I just want to, I want to flow. I want to know that the universe is going to support me. And while things are going well, oh, yes, everything's working out. So it must be supported. It must be supported. But the moment we find a little challenge, we go right back to the grasping. So we have to be really clear about that. We have to be clear about the world that we're living in. And I know for some people, they think this kind of sounds depressing, that we should experience challenges, that we should experience unpleasant moments. It's reality. It's reality. You would not, the joy, even just that little joy that comes from, you've been on a long flight and your body's all cramped up, and just getting up out of the seat, walking off the plane, right? Just, feels so good. You wouldn't have had that without the unpleasant. We can't have extraordinary moments. Extraordinary would mean nothing without ordinary. Right? All the mundane moments that we talked about on Sunday Sangha, right? Most of our existence is mundane moments. But out of all those mundane moments, when we're paying attention, when we know what our highest intention is, our internal intention, you find little moments, many more moments of joy that you would not have noticed otherwise if you weren't present. Little moments that are extraordinary, the moments of awe, the moments of wonder that are there. Not continuous, but they're there. They poke their little head out and it's like, okay. But coming back and really getting familiar with this feeling of non-grasping inside of us, this feeling of, spaciousness, of ease. We're so used to being in that grasping, craving mode, we think it's normal. That's why it feels so unfamiliar to us, the peace. When we come back, it's like, I can't stay here too long because I'm holding everything together up here. You're not holding anything together. You're just not knowing the peace that is here. You're getting distracted. Not following your highest intention. That's always a good cue. You feel that tightening. Whoops. You're thinking again, something's out there. It's the experience to have in each moment, the adventure. Let all of it flow through you. Enjoy it. Enjoy the good times. When the unpleasant times are arising, don't grasp at it. Don't push back on it. It might just be unpleasant for a while. It might just be unpleasant. There's nothing else opening up. But good for you to experience that. Makes us stronger, makes us tougher, makes us wiser, more compassionate. But maybe another path is opening up that we could also be open to when something's going, the flight's canceled. Okay, don't freak out. What are we going to do? Let's take a few breaths. The adventure's still going. Let's see. Maybe you are stuck in the airport all night, or maybe something else opens up. A lovely local family says, come stay with us for the night. And you have this moment of connection, of a stranger being kind to you. Right? We don't know how this is unfolding. So the more that we can prioritize our internal intention, whatever word you used to describe in the meditation of what it is that's most important, making sure it's not dependent on anything external. Peace, connection, love, belonging, tranquility, serenity, equanimity, whatever word you use to describe it. Make sure that is your number one intention. Everything else flows from there. It will keep bringing you back. If you get the order right, it will keep bringing you back. When you face challenges, it will bring you back. When you're not trusting the process, it will bring you back. It is the best pointer that we have. And nurture that seed. So why I ask the question in most meditations, because we need to keep saying it, and we need to keep following it up with, what could I be doing differently? What could I be doing differently? Not grasping at what I need to be doing differently. It will naturally happen. Okay. I see a question from Leslie and Jim. Oh, Leslie, that had a profound impact. So I think the meditation or maybe the part of the talk, I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. So from Jim, recently I nicknamed my inner voice and am wondering what I think about that. I think it can be helpful to name it, sure. The more that we can label what's going on up here, yeah, I think it's I think it's good. And you can catch it. I mean, that's what we do when I label it Mara, right? Mara from the Buddha's, in Buddhism, Mara kind of depicted as the trickster, the jokester, the ego. Mara who tries to stop the Buddha from awakening. And the Buddha would say, it's in the suttas, that after he awakened, Mara would still come around. He'd say, I see you, Mara. I see you. So whatever you've named it, it's like, yeah, I see you. And you're labeling it. You understand. I see you, Mara. It's not me. It's just these voices. And what we've been doing in the Ego series on the Sunday Sangha classes on IT is labeling it, trying to identify, yeah, there's the validator. There's that need for validation. So that we can understand in that need for validation, we're never going to fill it up. It's something outside. It's creating the sense of separation and pointing to something outside saying, no, you'll get it. If you could just get that person to praise you, you'll feel better. And by going through this and going, oh, there's the validator. No, I'm not going to feel better by getting that person's praise. I'm going to feel better by dropping this thought and coming back into the present moment. Because that's a bottomless pit of needing validation externally. You can never get enough, never get enough. Or the judge, the controller. This past Sunday, I don't have a cute name for it, but it's just chasing happiness. Me, future happy me. Right? The more that we can identify it, the more quickly I think we get pulled out of the VR headset of the little me in there, thinking that, because with that inner voice, Jim, the problem with the inner voice, so many problems. It's Pandora's box of problems. As this inner voice, right? You say a little thought about Jim. What's Jim going to do later? Just thinking that, you're imagining yourself doing something. So you're imagining yourself. So there's a little Jim in your VR headset that you're imagining doing something out there. And of course, you're either imagining, oh, look how happy Jim is. He's having his favorite meal. He's out on the boat. He's doing this. Look at how happy Jim is up here. And the whole time that you're believing the little Jim here that you're imagining happy in the future. So you're thinking, oh, Jim is only happy based on these external conditions in this little imaginary headset that I've created, right? And not seeing that while you're imagining Jim happy up here, what you're feeling is tension and tightness here, anxiety, because what if you don't get there? What if you're imagining this and you're looking at someone else getting it and you're thinking, oh my God, they're getting more than me. There's not enough for me, right? So what we're trying to do in the ego series, what it's pointing to is a lie. That's the illusion. This is what magicians do. Look over here, and we're looking over here. Oh, let me run over there. Let me get on the boat. Let me get to the restaurant. Oh, yes, look at what it's pointing to. There's a little me up here that's going to be happy over there. And we're so in the illusion, we don't even notice the trick. We're not paying attention. We're not even noticing how unpleasant it makes us feel. And of course, because in the desire, the future Jim happy on the boat or having his favorite meal, right? It doesn't take long also, because again, now it's like, well, what if I don't get there? What if they get there first? And as the mind, the thoughts start ramping up, it doesn't take long before we start thinking of unpleasant thoughts. Oh, and don't forget earlier today, such and such happened, and that was such a nightmare. And last week when this person said that, and I should have said this, I would have put them in their place. And then we're having this argument in our head, a fictitious argument in our head. But that's who Jim up there is having the argument, and he's winning right now. And he's winning, right? And you think it feels good. You think it feels good. That's the illusion. You think it feels good. You're so believing what it's pointing to and what's happening up here. You actually think it feels good because I put them in their place. I had the perfect line. But if you come back into your body, mindfulness, and you notice what you're really experiencing. You feel threatened. You feel defensive. You feel tense. You feel tight. You feel anxious. You don't feel good at all. You feel separate because you have separated yourself into two. You don't feel like you belong. So yeah, the more we can identify the inner voice, and again, while you said inner voice, it's a little me. It's not just that this voice is pointing to something, it's that we truly believe that there's a little me that is hurt because I was excluded from something last week, right? Something that already happened. And in this day and age where we're going to be excluded from things from time to time, but believing, oh, this wounded little me up here, it's excluded. It doesn't belong. It's unworthy. It's unlovable. I'm so sad. I'm so broken. Everyone else is having a good time. I'm the only loser. And we believe that over the reality of the experience, of the adventure of Jim, of the adventure of Chelsea, of Meredith, of what I'm seeing and hearing and touching and tasting and smelling, of seeing how this ride is arising and changing moment by moment by moment, interdependent, interconnected, missing all of that. Because last week, and then it wasn't just last week. It was 5 years ago something happened too, and I don't like that. And then, this person disagreed with me, and I don't like that. Right? And then we live in our VR headset. I mean, we've been living in the VR headsets long before Metaverse came along. The Facebook thing. We've been living here. I mean, it's even scarier that now you can actually, I mean, it's still the same thing, but I mean, maybe the colors is a little better or something. But, I mean, frightening. It's frightening. This is where we want to go to. We've been doing this experiment because I think you would find, again, and I don't know the studies, it's just popped into my head because I saw something recently about it, about that metaverse thing. But, I mean, you look at the studies with social media. Doesn't matter who you are, top influencer, celebrity, you spend a certain amount of time on social media and you're comparing and you're feeling bad about yourself because you're comparing to everyone's highlight reel. And I just have to imagine, and so we know we feel bad through social media. I have to imagine there's this, I mean, it's not real. It's not real connection. It's not real. I can't imagine what this is doing to us, what this will do to us as a society. But we'll just stick with the imaginary virtual reality headsets. And I like to use that analogy because that is literally what we are all walking around with our little VR headsets. And each of us has a little me up there. And that little me is lacking and it's small and it's finite. And it's so scared to death of being criticized, of being blamed, of being excluded, of being hurt in some way. And this little me dictates a lot of our actions. So much of our actions. Because, I couldn't be hurt. I couldn't possibly feel the hurt. I mean, we see this with young men today where, and I think it's because of gaming. A lot of them are on gaming sites. They spend a lot of time on that. And a lot of time, I don't know if I'm going to say this, but a lot of time on other websites of which the whole internet is based on. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here or not, but I think you probably all know what I'm talking about. And what it's doing is they have lost their ability to communicate with women. And they've lost their ability to be, they're so, they don't know how to go out and ask a woman out, a real woman, and to take that risk of rejection because the rejection would just demoralize them so much. Whereas 30, 40 years ago, men knew this. Or women, asking someone out. Like, it's like, it's kind of part of it and you just kind of carry on and you keep moving. So that little me can really build up. The more we spend in virtual reality with our own little pretend our imaginary virtual reality versus any other kind of virtual reality, it's stopping us from growing, from being able to connect, from being able to be vulnerable, for being able to be resilient. We're not resilient anymore either. That answer kind of went around a lot, but hopefully we got some things out of that. So, yes, Jim, absolutely. Name your inner voice. So from Joanne, how do you disassociate the labeling and the actual feeling? So, great question, Joanne. Because, so the labeling, that is a mental activity, right? I'm labeling. And that labeling, the act of labeling, by the way, starts to give us a little bit of separation. All of a sudden, you're starting to see what's going on. You're not lost in the virtual reality headset. You're starting to see, oh, there's the validator. I see what's going on, right? Now, you're not out of it yet, but there's enough separation that you're kind of, oh, I see what's going on. And then you come into the body. And this part is not easy, right? But it's how we come in and experience what actually is happening. We've seen what we're imagining, what we're pretending is happening, right? We create a little bit of space there. And now it's to come in to actually feel. Because it's unpleasant. Whatever it is you are thinking about, whether it's a desire or a fear, and that's the two modes in which the ego arises, desire and fear. Two sides of the same coin, right? The desire, I want something, right? The fear, I might not get it, right? Or the fearing something unpleasant and the desiring then of something else that is more pleasant, right? But we can often feel, we can identify one as being a little clearer than the other. And all the little ways underneath of that, right? If I'm desiring validation, I'm desiring praise, fearing criticism. If I'm judging, right, I'm pushing back, I'm fearing, I'm resisting. So it's these two main modes, and all the, the judging, the comparison, the comparing, the jealousy, the envy, all of this comes under these two main modes. And so whatever it was that you were thinking about, if it's an egoic thought, you're thinking about yourself, right? You have created tension in your body. You've released a bunch of neurotransmitters, probably a lot of adrenaline, of cortisol, of norepinephrine, right? Kind of your brain thinking, oh my God, I might get criticized, and your brain responding the same way as if you're about to be attacked by a tiger. Not to the same degree as what's going to be released, but the difference in our thoughts is that it becomes chronic. We keep going over it again and again. The brain keeps going, oh, I better give you some more. I better give you some more. I better give you some more adrenaline. I better give you some more of this, right? Until we're just, we feel sick to our stomachs after a while, right? Because it's just, we're not meant to live in this chronic state of stress. So it doesn't feel good. So we have to be very clear about that. It doesn't feel good. But when we come in and feel it, without the story of me being criticized, of me being embarrassed, me having made a fool of myself, me having a review with my boss that didn't go well, me something, right? The story is what's the most terrifying, by the way. And that is not happening. But you come in and you feel it, and 10 breaths. Breathing in, allowing whatever it is that's here to be here. We so want to push back on it. I don't want to feel it. Well, then you're just going to, pushing back on it is you've just left the VR headset here and you just kind of sidled right back up on the other side. If you're pushing back on it, how are you pushing back in your thoughts? I don't want to feel this. This is terrifying. How am I going to experience this in 10 minutes? Nobody else is feeling this. I must be the only one, right? That's always a telltale sign of the ego. I'm the only one. I'm the only loser. I'm the one that something's fundamentally broken inside of me. So 10 breaths. Come in, breathe. Big breaths, allowing what's here, right? And saying the words, it's okay to feel this. 1, it's okay to feel this. 2, it's okay to feel this. 3, it's okay to feel this, right? Saying that over, it's okay to feel this. Because now the words that you're using, while it is self-talk, you're using the self-talk to bring you into your experience, not to take you out of it, right? And to be with what's happening, to accept what's happening. It's okay to feel this. Or another beautiful, and of course, self-compassion. I always bring up self-compassion. Oh, sweetheart, it's okay to feel this, right? Petting ourselves. Oh, okay. It's okay to feel this. Or to say, just like me, millions of people are feeling scared right now. Just like me, millions of people in the world right now made a fool of themselves and feel terrible and feel fear, right? Just like me, millions of people are feeling sad. Just like me, millions of people are feeling vulnerable. Just like me, millions of people are feeling anxious right now, right? Because again, the ego is trying to believe us we're the only ones that this is happening to. These are all normal human emotions. And the more that we can come in and feel it, and again, either just like me, millions of people are experiencing or feeling, fill in the blank. Or even just these words, it's okay to feel this. It's okay to feel this. It's okay to feel this. And 10 deep breaths, talking yourself down. So using self-talk, but talking yourself down, kind self-talk. After 10 breaths, it doesn't mean that the unpleasant feelings are all completely gone, but you're pretty out of the story at this point. And you've tempered them down a little bit, right? They're not quite as heightened anymore because you're accepting, right? Because we don't realize what a tight, we walk around like this bundle of nerves, kind of tightness, this ball all day long, pushing back on the little heads, on the story that we're telling in the headset. And so the coming in, okay. And maybe it stays for a couple minutes. You stay present, and then maybe the thought comes back. Okay, you do. There you are again, Mara. I see you. Or there you are, validator. There you are, judge. Right? There you are, controller. Right? I mean, or whatever name you have used. Right? I see you. I see you. I see you, Mara. I see what you are selling today. I am not buying this. But it is this continuously seeing it, being mindful, noticing it, and coming back to begin again and begin again and begin again, to start to trust this more. And the more that you do this, then you see it and you go, I see you, fear, right? I see you, jealousy. I see you. I see you. I am not buying what you are selling. Whatever you're pointing to is a lie. And you really do start to see that over time. You understand it's a lie. I'm not going to find the perfect comeback response and feel at peace. I'm not going to find any resolution in reliving what happened back there and I made a fool of myself, right? It doesn't mean that we can't ever reflect or have remorse, right? Those are separate things. But this kind of, I can replay this and come to some satisfaction where I don't have to beat myself up anymore. No. I just have to recognize that I am human and I make mistakes. And every single one of us do. We will always make mistakes. We will always have moments. I mean, hopefully not every moment of the day, but we all do it. We say the wrong thing. I mean, I do it, right? We all do it. Happens on these calls sometimes, and I'm like, why'd you say that? I mean, it's that example wasn't the best. Well, at the time, I thought it was. Those were the causes and conditions that were arising in that moment. I couldn't have done anything differently. Right? And letting it go. Of course, if we ever have to go and apologize, if we ever have to go and clean something up, like, I said something and actually I don't think that was accurate. Like, yeah. But not with any ego, not like, oh my God, now I feel stupid up here. I couldn't go and change. I couldn't go and clear something up and say I made a mistake. I would appear stupid. That's the ego. Right? So it's that just continuous coming back and then trusting this more. And you start to trust it more, and you start to see through the illusion. We so believe that there's a little me up here that's going to find eternal happiness if I can just get everything outside of me to some elusive state and stay there. Not going to happen. It's just suffering. It's endless, endless suffering. The ego lives in dissatisfaction. If you're satisfied, there's no ego. You're not reaching out. You're not pushing anything away. Doesn't mean that you don't have goals, objectives. Primary goal, peace. Everything else falling out on, behind that, right? So that whatever it is that you want to do, you want to launch a new business, you want to go on an adventure, you want a new partner, like no problem. It's like, yeah, have that adventure. That's the adventure you want to have. Go have it. Go see how that works out. But not with this idea that you're going to be complete by any of these things. So that way you take the pressure off and you can actually enjoy the adventure of your life. Not struggling against our lives, not struggling the whole time in some imaginary headset. So just keep coming back, begin again, begin again, begin again. I see you. Breathe, use self-compassion. It's okay to feel this. And you just keep doing this again and again. You start seeing through the illusion of it. You've got to break the chain of the habit. There is nothing to be gained up here. Nothing. Nothing to be gained. Everything to be lost, most importantly. Your life. You won't be here for your life because you'll live it up in the VR headset. And it's a nightmare up there. I'm always lacking. I'm always small. I'm always finite up here. That's not reality. So we've got to stop believing this more than we believe what we see and hear and feel and touch, or feel and taste and smell. We believe this, our imagination, more than we believe what we're actually experiencing. But we've got to keep coming back to trust this, to see through that illusion, to see through it. Okay. Oh, bye, Rosa. Good to see you. I'm assuming you're back home now. Okay, I'm just going to go back here to... Oh, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Your inner voice can be troublesome. Okay, so Jim, you're saying your inner voice can be troublesome, but has been helpful occasionally. I'd love an example. I'm not saying it's not true, but I would love an example of where you're thinking it's been helpful. Let's just be sure. So if you're willing to share. Okay, so from Chelsea. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the meditation and that you're reflecting on what came up for you in the meditation, and it was belief in myself. Would belief be internal or external? I've just passed my driving test. Congratulations. I was up in my thoughts a lot during lessons. It rooms. And now I've passed. I'm up in my thoughts again. I've got to future me, and now the validator presents more challenges as I don't feel confident enough to drive solo. I think because I don't want to get it wrong. Interested in my thoughts and any fellow meditators. Okay. I kind of want to tackle this in a couple ways. In the meditation, what I'm asking you to, what it is that's most important. And you're saying like belief in yourself, I wouldn't put that as a skillful answer. It sounds too dependent on something. And I think for what you're saying here, and I really do think if you were to be honest with your, or not honest, sorry, that's not the right, but if you were to really explore this more, I think what you would find is that what you do want, and I know this just through my own experience and asking this question, so many people, peace is the universal word that people use to describe, right? It's not it, but it's what we can best use to describe it. Peace is what you want. And I think if you were to, while studying for your driving test and practicing driving, if you were to have peace as a pointer, right, to say, okay, what's most important is peace. Like, yes, you want to pass your driving test. You don't want to hurt any other drivers out on the road. And I would imagine getting your driver's license gives you a certain amount of freedom, moving about. Like, that's fine. That's fine. It's not going to bring you peace. It's not going to bring you peace, right? It's going to give you some options in the external world. But it's not going to bring you peace. It's not going to bring you peace of mind. And so when studying for the test, if you were to be, and I know you've already passed, but now maybe we use it with, we'll use it with the test and then we'll use it with what your challenge is now. If in studying for a test, you keep reminding yourself, peace is what's most important, right? That's the primary intention. I want to get your driver's license, that's secondary. Okay. But peace is what I want. So in breathing in and coming in and knowing the peace, because the peace is here and now, using the breath to bring yourself here, maybe some self-compassion, because maybe it's a little tiring, you're studying and you're like, man, okay, sweetheart, you're doing your best. You're doing your best. That's all right. Say, you're doing your best. But let's find the peace again. Let's find that center. Take those breaths, 10 breaths, as a way to bring you back in.